Hello there, and welcome back to more Final Fantasy VI. Last time, we ventured into the Phoenix Cave and reunited with Locke, who was able to have one final conversation with his beloved Rachel before passing on and giving him new determination to help us on our quest to destroy Kefka. Today, we're going to be kind of wrapping up a few minor things before we move on to the next big spectacle. And our first location is actually going to be going back to Narsh, as there is something I want to take care of first and foremost there. Now, last time we were here in Narsh, we were unable to open any of the doors, but now that we have Locke, a seasoned treasure hunter of some such, we should be able to at least see if we can open these without any issue. Oh yeah, and Amoro's here as well. I guess I didn't really specify that. But yeah, Amaro's here with us. We're not really going to do anything too crazy right now with him. I've actually turned off encounters here, as there really isn't much for us to see. Unfortunately, the inn seems to be fairly barren and not worth anything. We just see this animation each time we want to unlock a door. Locke just has to show off, you know. That's alright. If we go down here in the weapons shop... Oh, hello there. We got one survivor at least. I've been waiting for you. I wanted to give you this. I ran a weapon shop for 70 years, but I've never felt a power like the one I feel in this stone. If I were to grind it down into the shape of a blade, I'm sure it would make a very powerful weapon. What do you say? Okay, so we have a bit of a decision to make here. We can have this magicite named Ragnarok, or we could turn this Ragnarok magicite into a weapon, also named Ragnarok. So this is actually a point of contention whether or not you want to have the magicite or the weapon. To give you an idea, the magicite Ragnarok will teach the user the spell Ultima, which is the most powerful party-wide magic attack in the game. It has a pretty steep cost, but it is super duper powerful, and it will pretty much sweep every single enemy in the game without much issue. The sword Ragnarok is a very powerful weapon that a lot of characters can use, and even if you have pretty poor stats, can get quite a bit out of it. Now, normally, I would just leave it as the magicite Ragnarok and take that along. But I think for this playthrough, I think I actually am going to go ahead and take the sword, as there are alternatives to Ultima that we can get throughout the game. There's also another way for us to get Ultima, so I think I'm actually going to take the sword here. Alright. Cool, okay. Now, if you are an achievement hunter, I would actually suggest going for the magicite. I guess I probably should have said that before I ground it into a weapon. But let's go ahead and... We have Celeste here for a reason, and that's because I want to look at the Ragnarok. Attack plus 255. It maxes out your attack. Evasion plus 30. Magic evasion plus 30. Strength plus 7. Agility plus 3. Stamina plus 7. Magic plus 7. It is the exact same magic boost as the Enhancer. A sword that may cast Flare upon striking an enemy. Uses up MP to deal a critical hit. Now, it doesn't use up all of your MP. It just will use up MP to deal critical damage. This is a very, very powerful sword. I am absolutely putting this on Celeste. As this Ragnarok weapon, and any powerful sword like it, is the main thing I'm going to use to kind of differentiate her from the pure magic damage casters like Terra and Realm. I kind of want to make Celeste more of a physical damage dealer that also can rely on supportive magics. She can kind of play the team's paladin role, I guess is a better way of putting it. It allows her to be fairly unique amongst the team, and while, yeah, characters like Cayenne and even like Locke or Edgar can also supply that kind of paladin role, I have other ideas for them down the line, and I want to go ahead and let this be Celeste's kind of unique niche. This is the armor shop right here. This is unlocked already. No elixir in that clock there. I mean, there's not really much for us to see here, so that's pretty much it for Narsh. Unless you hadn't gotten Umaro or Mog yet, you go ahead and do that now. But other than that, we're done here. Though I guess real quick, I do want to pay one last visit to this little bucket right here so I can heal up. Now, our next location is actually something that I've mentioned very, very briefly a long time ago, but I've also just been really slacking on going there. For one, this is not what I had in mind, but I want to go ahead and get this over with real quick. There's a chocobo forest right over here by the Dragon's Neck, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that real quick, if I can find where the entrance is. There it is. Alright, cool. Chocobo stable, done and done. There's not really a reason for you to go visit the Chocobo stables unless you're achievement hunting, but I just like having all the yellow dots on the map anyways, so. But I mentioned it just very briefly. I want to go ahead and take a look at the Dragon's Neck. Now, originally, this was just a small little cabin, but in the year that has taken place since we've last been there, it has grown into a major Colosseum. The more valuable the item you wager, the better the prize will be if you win. This is the Dragon's Neck Colosseum. Champions from all over the world come here to fight for prizes and glory. You say the same thing? Well, at least you got the memo on your resume there, buddy. Anyways, this is the Dragon's Neck Colosseum. Basically, we can trade items in here and basically go against an enemy to see if we can win a better item for what we put in. Hey, Ultros. Me, the great and noble Ultros, reduced to working as a receptionist in this stinking Colosseum. Oh yeah, you'd better not bet any cheap crap, or Mr. Typhon will have to come and teach you a lesson. I mean, we've dealt with Typhon before already, but I'd rather not deal with him. I'm an Imperial soldier, probably the last one alive. I passed along a secret to that friend of yours with the bandana. Talked to the Emperor twice. It's a hint on to finding the place where Emperor Gestal hid some legendary treasure. No idea what it means. Yeah, Locke. What does it mean, buddy? What does it mean, huh? Huh? Nah, whatever. All battles in the Colosseum are one-on-one auto battles. Okay, well, thanks for spoiling my fun there, buddy. I was gonna explain it. So, the way that the Colosseum works is that you put in an item. Sure, let's go ahead and look at this. You put in an item. Let's say, I don't know. What's something that I could throw in? Let's do a beret. Bet the item, beret. We can go up against a certain item, a certain enemy, and their item that they have put up, based on what we have put up. And then we can choose a combatant to go into the fight with. Now, it is very important to note that, like that NPC said, every single piece of combat in the Colosseum is auto battle, meaning that you do not have control over what your character does. And they will use any move they have in their toolkit in this Colosseum, meaning that if you have a crapload of spells on a certain character like Celeste, there's a chance that she might use some useless spells, but there's also a small chance that she might just regular attack, or defend, or cast shell on herself for no apparent reason against a physical attacker. But you might get, like, that really cool fire spell, but it's not nearly as common as you would hope it to be. Characters like Sabin also have abilities, or even like Strago, have abilities that might accidentally kill themselves because it's a random chance, and that's not great. Honestly, characters like Umaro are my favorites to go into the Colosseum with because his moveset is just so unbelievably simple. You know what you're getting, and you won't have to worry about him using something you don't want him to use. Anyway, here, there are actually a few things I want to go ahead and bet here in the Colosseum. So I will go ahead and set that up, and I will see you back whenever I'm ready to make some good old bets. Now, first thing on the list is that, I would suggest you save, for one. You don't want to accidentally bet anything stupid and then lose it. And there's a lot of very valuable things you can get out of this, but it also requires you to bet very valuable items, so just be careful about that. There is one weapon I want to bet to see if we can get something fairly interesting. Now, this is a unique circumstance real quick that I want to do first, and that is if we bet the Ichigeki. Now, we actually saw an old woman back in another town that was mentioning that someone wanted an Ichigeki here in the Colosseum. So, let's go ahead and bet it. Shadow? What are you doing out of bed? last time we saw you were in Thamasa. How'd you get all the way over here? You know what? I'm not gonna question it. But yeah, if we bet the Ichigeki, we go up against Shadow. Hopefully, he's well rested because we're about to stick a Yeti on him. Alright, Umaro, don't disappoint us. Alright, Umaro going in for the physical attack. Okay, Shadow countering with a physical attack of his own. Only 112 damage. Okay, Umaro, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna lunge at him with Tackle? No, he's going for the regular attack again with the Bone Club. 2400 damage. Shadow countering with physical attack. Oh, it looks like he's down. Come on, Umaro, one last attack. Slam! 1700 damage. And Shadow is defeated! The Yeti takes the victory. And we get an Ichigeki. Neat. What are you doing here? The only thing I know how to do. I'm fighting. Why don't you come with us? Perhaps I should. Alright. It's time to put my skills to the ultimate test. Well, we also did, you know, save your life and whatnot. Yeah, so if to bring this back to center stage, if you didn't save Shadow on the floating continent, he won't be here. But this is how you officially recruit Shadow into your party. If you were to save him from the floating continent. Now, of course, he doesn't come with anything. The Ichigeki is a very useful weapon. So I guess, why not? We could go ahead and give him that. He was wanting it anyways. We can give him some pretty decent gear. But this is also, finally, and it's taken this long, but finally, Shadow is a permanent party member. He will not leave your team after this. He is here to stay. And you know what? It has been a long, long, long time coming. But I think it's finally time for us to talk about Shadow in a little bit more detail. So, let's go ahead and do that. Alrighty, we can finally discuss Shadow without worrying about him leaving our team abruptly, as he is now permanently on our side. Now, I've already talked about Shadow in some detail throughout the playthrough when he would join our team temporarily, so I'll try to keep this bio as brief as possible. Firstly, looking at Shadow's stats, we can see that he has a solid spread across the board with excellent speed and evasion stats, granting him the ability to act quickly, while also being able to dodge incoming attacks fairly reliably. Now, one thing that Shadow does sort of lag behind in is equipment options, as while he has a pretty decent spread of gear to choose from, it really isn't anything great, leaving him in a spot where he is going to want to rely on his evasion heavily, since one good hit on him might spell a quick end if he isn't well prepared for it. In terms of weapons, Shadow specializes in daggers, which normally have special effects attached to them to make up for their lack of firepower. Though, honestly speaking, Shadow's weapon of choice matters very little, as his throwing ability is probably going to be your go-to option for damage on Shadow anyways. Moving on to Magicite and Relics, Shadow is another character that can sort of be raised to be whatever you want him to be. His balanced stats allow for him to play well into any role from the get-go, but if you intend to lean him in one direction or the other, I would suggest Strength, as Shadow's throw damage does scale primarily with his strength, with certain exceptions like Scrolls scaling off of magic. Regarding Relics, giving Shadow the means to raise his evasion even higher or boost his throw damage should probably be priority number 1. Relics like the Zephyr Cloak and Prayer Beads are wonderful for allowing Shadow to evade incoming attacks, while the standard Hyper Wrist, Earring or Earrings, and Hero's Ring come to mind when looking to boost his attack power when throwing items. Now we move on to Shadow's special ability, and one we've already become fairly acquainted with by now, Throw. Throw allows Shadow to toss certain weapons and items at his opponents, dealing double the damage of that weapon, and ignoring factors like defense and evasion, with the exception of any elemental affinities the enemy might have. Throwing weapons or items like shurikens will scale off of Shadow's strength when factoring damage, and can come in handy when going up against pretty much any enemy, as they will ignore physical defense, unlike a standard attack. Scrolls are also another type of throwable item, where a certain effect will activate based on the type of scroll it is, ranging from magic damage from items like a water scroll, or giving Shadow a buff like the invisibility scroll. All throwable items are used up once they have been thrown, meaning that you want to be careful not to throw that shiny new sword you just got if you intend to use it at any point, because once you give it to the homicidal ninja to chuck at a random bird, it's gone for good. Overall though, Shadow is a solid character that only has one major flaw in my opinion, and that is he doesn't officially join your team until pretty late into the game. Thankfully, Throw does allow Shadow to sort of carry his weight in a fight as you scramble to fit any potential magic or stat buffs onto it. He's a simple character to understand and play around, and that makes him a solid pick for almost any team composition. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but we finally got to talk about him. Shadow's a pretty simple character, and he's going to be one that has a pretty standard game plan for him that I have laid out. Mostly just going to be chucking shurikens left and right, maybe a few scrolls here and there, but that's going to be kind of his main game plan. Anyways, we're not done here at the Dragon's Neck, not by a long shot. In fact, there are still a few more items that I want to get here, and just a few things that I want to go ahead and test out and see if I can actually win. So, real quick, I'm going to go back and save, and then I'll see you back for some more betting. Now, the first bet I have up on the list actually requires a bit of a unique setup that we've never actually seen at all while playing this game. Now, Umaro is going to be kind of my main man when it comes to the Colosseum because I kind of want to give him something to do because he's not really all that interesting outside of this. So I've built him with this setup. Now, really, the only thing that matters here is the Reflect Ring, a lustrous silver ring enchanted with a protective ward. It casts Reflect on the wearer. Now, this will begin at the beginning of combat, meaning that as soon as combat begins, we have Reflect on us. I want to get myself a nice new chest piece. Well, I guess it isn't really new, but I want to get myself a nice chest piece, and that requires me betting a chest piece. That being the Regal Gown. Betting this item will put us up against a death machine that is also betting a Minerva Bustier. I really want this Minerva Bustier, so I'm sending Umaro in with a Reflect Ring so we can finish this fight really fast. Now, the death machine has a high chance of casting the spell Death, but if we just continuously run and don't fight anything, which obviously we can't run away, it'll eventually cast Death and kill itself, which is very, very useful. If you try to attack the death machine, it'll counter with certain attacks, and I don't want to worry about that. So, very simple way of winning that encounter, and we get ourselves a nice Minerva Bustier. If we take a look at that, now I think Terra is currently wearing the other one. Yeah. A breastplate that blocks magic damage, provides a 25% bonus to maximum MP. Very, very, very nice. I'll be making sure to keep an eye on this whenever I'm equipping my magic casters. Okay, next up is a weapon bet. Let's go up here and bet the nice Murasame. Now, we got the Murakumo in the Phoenix Cave, which is a very, very good weapon for Cayenne. So I'm going to go ahead and bet the Murasame. This will give us the Masamune if we are able to beat the Glacia Labolas. Now, we've actually fought a Glacia Labolas. I really do hope I'm pronouncing that right. I actually don't know. Anyway, we've already fought one of these guys before, and honestly, I think Umaro can take it. So let's go ahead and send the Yeti in. Okay, let's see here. I've also put the Hermes sandals on Umaro. He goes for the slam, first and foremost, 1600 damage. Glacia counters with 87 damage. Okay, anyways, Umaro goes for a physical attack, misses. Glacia counters with an uppercut, but Umaro dodges it. Umaro goes back in for a counter attack with slam. Deals some pretty decent damage. Glacia's gonna come in with another attack, 81 damage, not bad. Umaro counters it with a slam, and defeats the Labolas. Nice. And we get ourselves a Masamune. Now, this is mostly because I don't want to use the Masamune, as I kind of more want to focus on trading it for something else. But first things first, let's go ahead and heal those minor flesh wounds that Umaro incurred during that encounter. Clyde, how could you? I was your partner. You should be here with me. Join me, Clyde. Well, I don't know what that was, but anyways, let's not let that sour our mood. Anyways, we got more stuff to bet. Okay, next up, we're going to be betting that Masamune that we just obtained for something else. Let's see if I can find it. Where are you? Oh, you're probably at the bottom of the list since I didn't sort my inventory. Aha, there you are, Masamune. This will get us a Murakumo, which we are very familiar with. I've also set up my party just a slightly different. I've brought in Edgar instead of Celeste, as while Umaro is very good in this setting, I think a jump-based Edgar is probably going to be our best bet against this Gorgamera. I've also put a Flame Shield on him, along with the Ragnarok, to see if we can deal some pretty decent damage to this beast. The Gorgamera has a few tricks up its sleeve, but hopefully Edgar is able to deal just enough damage to it. That is, if he decides to jump, which thankfully he did. He's going to land back down. Okay, no effect on the Gorgamera's attacks. Edgar drops back down, 1,000 damage, 1,100 damage. That's 3 jumps. That's 4 jumps in total, doing 4,000 damage. There's Avalanche, which does quite a bit of damage. Hopefully Edgar is strong enough to survive. 0 damage, nice. There's a Drill, which he has a lot of strength, so it'll do quite a bit of damage, 1,500. There's Avalanche again, it'll do 0 damage, no problem. Nice. Debilitator, okay, well, that's a good option, Edgar, I guess. What do we get? Now weak against Wing. That's a little ironic, because the Gorgamera actually does have wind attacks. Flare Star will actually heal us because of the Flame Shield, which is very, very useful. There's Arrow right there, a wind attack, which is pretty strong. There we go, we get 3 jumps, 4 jumps, and the Gorgamera is down. And we get ourselves a second Murakumo. Now, this next bet might be a little ambitious for me to try and get right now, so I've made sure to save just in case. But we are actually going to bet that second Murakumo that we just got for a potential Holy Lance. We have to go against a Galapades? Galpades? I think I'm just going to call it Gale. Yeah, we'll just call it Gale. Anyways, going up against Gale, this bird has a lot of very dangerous attacks that unfortunately I don't really have any way of mitigating right now, at least reliably. So I'm just going to chuck Edgar at it and hope for the best. The fact that Edgar can jump is going to be very useful in just surviving, because, oh, I also have decent magic evasion, which is really nice. Potential jump attacks are going to be quite useful here because I could actually live. Okay, Edgar, you gotta jump there, buddy. Okay, thank you. Yeah, the Gale here hurts quite a bit. If this doesn't work out, I'm just gonna reset my file. No, Shamshir. 11 damage. Edgar? Oh, he jumped again. Okay, maybe? Maybe? I have no idea how much HP Gale has. I didn't look at it. 4 jumps? Oh, let's go, Edgar! And we get a Holy Lance, which is quite useful. Okay, that was a little ambitious of me. But with that, we can equip the Holy Lance on Edgar, a blessed lance that may cast Holy upon striking an enemy. Now, while my stats may go down because of this, spears are very useful when jumping, and because Edgar is going to be a good jump attacker along with Mog, I'll be kind of changing out who's wearing the Holy Lance at each certain point. Probably Mog is going to be wearing it more often than Edgar, but I wanted to go ahead and get it with Edgar because he had more strength and more attack power than Mog, so it seemed more reliable to try it on him. Anyways, we got the Holy Lance, and that's going to be quite useful as there is one more main item that I want to try and get here. Okay, for this next opponent, I'm actually going to be bringing in Shadow, which is going to be quite interesting. Now, Shadow is going to be running the Ichigeki, as I've already said, but he's also going to be running the Flame Shield Memento Ring, which, if you don't remember, prevents petrification, zombie, and instant death. And I'm also going to be running the Reflect Ring, which will cast Reflect on him immediately as combat begins. I'm going to be playing generally pretty safe with Shadow, as I don't exactly want him to die to anything really stupid. Now, one thing to note about Shadow is that he is actually a pretty decent character for the Colosseum. Now, for one, he won't use throw in the Colosseum, so you don't need to worry about him throwing away, any of your precious items. Just, you know, make sure that if his magic repertoire isn't all that big, then he'll just be kind of just chucking regular attacks. Now, he has 3 magic on him right now. So he probably won't be using it all that often. So let's go ahead and head inside. And... we didn't know you for very long. We barely got to use it at all. I'm going to be betting the Ragnarok. So we can get the Lightbringer. Now, we go up against a pretty strong opponent in the form of the Daedalus, which is kind of a reskin of the Dullahan from Daryl's Tomb. And he's just as annoying as the Dullahan. So, hopefully this works out. Cross our fingers. Let's go Shadow. Okay, Shadow is going to open up with a fight. He's going to cast a magic spell. Daedalus casts Flare, but it reflects off of Shadow, and goes right back to him. Speed things up here. Does 2100 damage. Shadow's casting Rasp. Okay, well, I mean, he might be able to drain the magic off of him. There's Blaster, not enough MP. Did we drain his MP entirely? Shadow, what are you doing? You don't need Osmos. That's gonna give him MP because he's undead. Shadow, just hit him. No, Shadow. No! No! Okay. You cast all of your magic, Shadow. Now, can you please attack the... Oh, Wild Fang from Interceptor. Okay. Going off, doing 1600 damage. Shadow, stop casting magic! You have 3 magics you can cast. Just cast something useful. or just attack, thank you. Okay, he's finally attacking. And the instant death from the Daedalus, it doesn't work. Okay. Come on, Shadow. Can you stop trying to instant kill him? Okay, we've seen the shell there. There's the flare, which is going to do some decent damage against the Daedalus. Okay, I'm not going to be stupid this time and give him a weapon that does instant death, instead of giving him just a regular old man-eater that won't do too much damage, but it will at least give me the chance to actually kill this enemy. I got to the point where I was at a stalemate with him last time, where he didn't have any MP, and he couldn't do any damage to me, but my instant death wasn't working on him at all, so... yeah. So, we're gonna go ahead and kill him the regular way. Everything else about my gear setup is the exact same, so honestly, this enemy shouldn't be able to do much to me. You know, this is probably the most boring Colosseum match any of these people in the audience have probably ever seen. I honestly don't know why they're still around. If there's ever a remake of this game, if your match lasts too long in the Colosseum, I want to see, like, people just leaving the audience because they just get super bored. Yeah, maybe have, like, an audience retention rate gimmick, maybe. I don't know. I'm stuck here with my own thoughts as I slowly murder this undead creature. I don't have much to talk about. Anyway, we got ourselves the Lightbringer. Now, it is unfortunate that we had to trade away our Magicite-fueled Sword of Ultimate Destruction that had the chance of casting Flare, but in its place, we obtained the Lightbringer, a legendary sword of the heavens that may cast wholly upon striking an enemy, uses up MP to deal a critical hit. Now you may be like, okay, well, the only main difference seems to be Flare versus Holy. Well, see here. The Lightbringer has 255 attack, evasion plus 50 instead of 30, magic evasion plus 50, strength plus 7, agility plus 7, stamina plus 7, magic plus 7. It is by far just a strict upgrade, and it is such a powerful weapon. Again, this will be going straight to Celeste as her main weapon from this point onward, and I cannot wait to see what she can do with it. But other than that, there are still a lot of different items we can get here in the Colosseum, but either I don't have the item to begin the transaction, or I just don't have the means of actually reliably taking down those enemies right now. So, I think for right now, we're going to go ahead and call it here. So, next time on Final Fantasy VI, we're going to go ahead and head back to an old kingdom with some old buddies and see if we can resolve a certain character arc. So, with that said, I'll see you soon.